There we go. It's something. Oh, top line. Top line in your face. Top line in your face.
These late night episodes are the best. It's when the shit goes wild.
I think we just lost half our listeners. They're like, what the hell
We're
is
not
this?
losing anybody, AJ. They love this shit. This
Until Dropkick Murphy sue us, and then we're like, fuck.
Nobody gives a crapola.
This is Top Line.
Today's episode is brought to you by 6 Sense. 6 Sense Revenue AI eliminates guesswork and arms your revenue team with the data and visibility it needs to create and convert high-quality pipeline into revenue. Traditional revenue technologies can't detect anonymous B2B buying activity. This creates a dark funnel that leads to mistimed engagement or missing out on opportunities altogether. 6 Sense Revenue AI eliminates hidden buyer behavior in the dark funnel while enhancing the technologies you already use. You'll capture every revenue moment and deliver more predictable revenue. Find out more at 6sense.com.
How you guys doing?
I'm good, man.
Sam,
Good.
you're back in Nashville. You guys are fans of Nashville. How's Nashville?
It's great. We're on day 2 of a 3-day corporate offsite that we call Come Together. It's where we all celebrate, and then at the end of it, we all come together.
I held it. I really wanted to say something. It took so much not to. You're gonna have. Oh my god.
No, it's honestly been fantastic. We had I think there were 11 members in our panel today, like a customer panel. And we had 11 members from Nashville in our panel talking about the impact the pavilion has had on them. And I have a lot to say about it, but this has been an absolutely great couple of days. And I'm coming from our closing party. And I've had a few bourbon and sodas. That's the truth.
Thanks for inviting us.
You're
as
invited.
members.
You're invited to everything I do, AJ. Every single thing.
It's a blanket invitation.
From the bris of my unborn son to my
AJ, how you doing?
Asad, I'm good. I'm good. I've been in financial planning world all week, so I'm like in a totally different world than where Sam is. Good. I am doing super well. We're off. We have $500,000 to close, basically. Ooh. So it's got a lot. We're going to talk about this in the episode and like what makes the end of the year. I've always end my fiscal years in December. Everyone does these January fiscal years.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing that.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to change that next year.
Oh, really?
We're going to yeah, I think so. I think that it's this is the first year where, especially with how budgets have been done, where companies are like really feeling like we're doing this, it's through legal, it's gonna get stuck in procurement. It just feels like that's where we're headed.
So you want it so that December is not the fiscal end, but it's January, so that you can have a better January to get things over the finish line?
Yeah, and I've never had issues with this previously. This is the first year where it feels like that's the right move. But I'm not also like vodka and sodas into this night. So like, I don't know. I haven't left my desk all day. Like I've been here at my desk.
Same.
8:30. So I haven't left. I'm just heads down in a different world.
I think the benefit of the January fiscal close is that, first of all, January is a full month, and December is just all chopped up because of Christ.
For sure.
He died for our sins, and he also had the ability to close.
Hey, by the way, Hanukkah started 2 days ago.
The joke on Instagram that I saw that I totally agree with is, as a Jew, don't ask me when Hanukkah is because we don't know either. I had a CEO call me. call me today. I think it was today, maybe it was yesterday, and he said, "Hey, we have to fire this person, but they're Jewish and you're Jewish. Is it a horrible problem if we fire them during Hanukkah? And I said, dude, Jews do not care about Hanukkah. Do whatever you need to do. We made it up because we're
Sam,
I
is
hope
it a
that person
day?
sat down. I hope that person sat down and said, like, "Hey, Sam Jacobs said it was okay to fire you today."
This sounds hot.
heartless.
Is it a day or is it like a period? Like, is Hanukkah a day or like Christmas
8 days,
Day, or is it a period?
It's 8 days.
8 days. Good grief.
Yeah.
Hey, don't you know the Adam Sandler song? Come on, Austin.
Yeah.
8 Crazy Nights. You don't know that song? Oh my!
Yeah.
That was like, Sam. You obviously know that song.
Of course, yeah.
Of course.
Do you know the Hanukkah, do you know the Hanukkah song by Adam Sandler?
I don't, but I'm going to look at this right after.
Right.
You're the
It's
most
just-
Canadian.
He lists all the
I don't
famous-
know.
He lists all the famous Jews, and it's just really wonderful to know all the people that are Jewish. Goldie Hawn, David Lee Roth, lights the menorah.
Yeah, but who does he say is not a Jew? There's a line in there.
I forget.
He's like,
Yeah,
says
not a Jew.
says some name, not a Jew.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, what a great docket we have, everyone. If we have to loss on our
docket.
Okay, let's jump in. Since it's our last episode of 2023, which is wild, 36 episodes, wow. I thought let's start by just framing where we're ending the year from a macro point of view. So there are a couple of data points. 2023 has been all about the fight against inflation. In June 2022, it was 9%. In Jan 2023, it was 6.4%. The target for the Fed has always been 2%, and we're ending the year at 3.1%. It's nice to end the year knowing that rate hikes are now a thing of the past, which with inflation at 3.1%, they are. And now the thing on everyone's mind is, when do rates start coming down? If you remember, or if you think back to November 2021, rates hadn't even come up yet. We just knew inflation was a problem and rates were going to come up. And Thea, remember how much the markets crashed just knowing that? So markets are very dynamic, and rates coming down is going to be a really good signal, and things will pick up at that point. Unemployment's at 3.7%, which makes this a historic 22-month stretch where unemployment has remained under 4%. 60.5% of Americans have jobs, and job growth and wage inflation has actually slowed down, which is what we needed for a soft landing. If you remember one of our previous episodes, we spoke about the concept of immaculate disinflation. Well, this is that. Layoffs in tech have come down as well. The monthly average in Q2 was about 15,000 a month. And right now in Q4, it's about 5,800 a month. Obviously, we've got a bit of Q4 to go, but I don't think there are going to be tons of layoffs in the last 2 weeks of December. Venture bottomed out in H1 2023. We brought that down with Peter Walker in a previous episode. And while it's not party time right now, it's definitely not the shit show it was for most of 2022 and 2023. In public markets, median net new ARR growth is 1% in Q3. After 4 quarters below 0%, which is why David Satz called this the end of the tech recession. He was right in doing so in the previous episode that they just released. And when you look at the high growth segment, it was 19% after 4 quarters of it being below 0%, with the bottom being Q2 at minus 12%. Multiples are up to 14.6x for high growth companies and 8.4x for mid growth companies. And lastly, we're coming out of the year way more efficient than we went into it, which is what we needed after the bloat that everyone got because of the abundance of capital in 2020 and 2021. So median FCF margins of 11% in the public markets last quarter. Sam, your experience of 2023 must have been very interesting. You've navigated it as a CEO, and that's obviously been challenging but interesting, and we've learned and grown a lot because of it. But then in moments like this is when people need community, and so many have found so much solace through Pavilion. So how are you feeling at the end of the year right now?
I feel wonderful. Here's how I feel. Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you both a story. In my 20s,
stories.
In my 20s, I was a very bad boy. And I would go to Las Vegas all the time, particularly for March Madness. And there was this funny stat that 100% of the time that I went to Las Vegas, I booked an early flight to leave early because Las Vegas, the first night of Vegas is great, and every other night is horrible. And
Yeah.
and so I remember, and I think back to many times being maybe staying up all night. By the way, anybody that tells you like, oh, you have an early morning and flight in Vegas, just stay up all night. Those people are evil, just so you know. Those people are very
Bad
bad.
idea.
Stay up all night for any reason at all. But anyway, I would be all hungover and strung out, and I'd be on a plane, and it would be horrible. It would be so horrible when you're at the airport at Vegas at like 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. and you've been up all night, and you've got like a 4-hour, 5-hour flight ahead of you, and like you just have no time ahead of you before you're going to go be in bed. And many times, many times, over the recent years in my 40s and 30s, I have a wonderful moment in my life when I say, thank God I'm not in Las Vegas. And no matter what's going on in my life, I say, thank God I'm not in Las Vegas. And that is how I feel right now. And we've been at an offsite for my
AJ,
company.
have you been to Vegas?
And
Not like this. I don't know if I can compare what Sam's about to say or what he just said to
Sam's back.
here's my point. My point is this. My point is that I have particularly this offsite. So we've been at this 3-day event, and we've been through a lot this year as a company and as a community, and we've made a lot of really difficult decisions. And those decisions, while yes, they were difficult, they have left us in such a stronger place. And we've been talking the past couple of days, a year ago at our offsite. This is a long-winded answer, but it's only the three of us. A year ago, I told everybody at this
no one
same,
else listens to this.
I said to the same group, I said to the company, I said, we're entering the chrysalis. We're entering the chrysalis, the period between when a caterpillar enters a larval stage and then emerges as a butterfly. And what happens during the chrysalis is that literally all of their organs and their entire exoskeleton and their entire structure liquefies and dissolves before they are able to reform as a butterfly. It's really an incredible miracle of nature. And I said to the company a year ago, I said, we are entering a period of painful transformation. And I remember being at this offsite that we have every year thinking, we are so far from solving some of these problems. We're so far, in fact, that I don't even have the answer. And I can feel the discoherence. I can actually feel the discoherence of this business pavilion not quite making sense in the way that it's supposed to. We made a bunch of difficult decisions this year. We were 60 people heading into the year. We're 30 people, really 28 people today. And the difficult decision one I talked about last week was that 2 months ago or a month and a half ago, we parted ways with our entire product and engineering organization. And all of that is to say, how do I feel? I feel amazing. And I feel amazing. And I'm not, this is not to be callous or cold hearted. It's not that I don't have empathy for the people that we had to part ways with, but I know that we are stronger. I know that we are coherent. And I had this feeling today as we were listening to 11 Pavilion members from the Nashville chapter talk about the amazing impact that Pavilion has had on their lives and their team's lives. And I had that feeling of not being in Las Vegas. And I had that feeling of not having a bunch of people in that room at my company that didn't believe in what we were doing, that either intentionally or unintentionally were pulling us apart, that were sapping our energy and saying, no, we can't do that, instead of, yes, we can do that. And those people are not here anymore. And and we have made really difficult decisions. And even personally, I'm in better shape than I've been all year. And I've been exercising and I've been walking and trying to get 15,000 steps a day and doing weights twice a week, going for long runs. And anyway, long story long, the point is that I feel great. I feel really good. And I feel for the first time just this ebullient, light sense of optimism when people our members, 11 members, saying, most people don't know who Pavilion is still. Every company needs this. Every manager needs this. Having a frontline manager from HubSpot saying, I signed up on my own because I needed this, and everybody needs this. And We've got a platform, a mobile platform and a portal coming out by the end of January. Our chapters are thriving. Our content is going to be best in class. And I've got the friendship and the alliance of you two. And we've done 36 episodes,
What's up?
which is pretty freaking cool. It's 9 months of doing this. And the
Yeah.
is building and people love what we're doing. And so I feel fantastic. That's how I feel. I feel really, really
It,
good. And I
We
feel 2024 is going to be awesome. And I think it's going to be awesome for the
we
two of
picked
you too.
of course it is.
well, we picked a hell of a year to start this thing. To start
I
this
know.
we have done like I'm looking. So Asad, I'm looking at my goals for 2023. I have 9 goals, and every year, you all
Is it
know
the
this.
wheel?
I write
Is it
down my
drawn in
goals.
the wheel?
This is in the wheel book. It's like there it is,
Yeah.
the goal book. Um, do you know how many of them I've accomplished
I
out
don't
of
know.
9 this year?
How?
I average 7 of 9. I've
Okay, this
accomplished
time you've done 6.
3. But I also feel great, and I think it's fascinating. I have one draft in my email inbox. It's a draft I've had for a year. It's a draft, and I went back for the first time in like a year and read it, and it was a response to one of my investors. It was like I was an emotional response to something that they said that I felt like wasn't reading my, like I put so much work into this thing that the first email I sent them, it was basically like this Asana project of like, here's what I'm going to go do. And then I got like feedback of like, hey, why don't you take like a breath or a pause or do the, like write a memo and make this more structured. It was a lot of like critical feedback I felt at the time. And I wrote this email that was just like very angry. And then I never sent it. And I like purposely never sent it. And I went back and I read what I originally wrote. It was total fucking shit. It was awful. And I was like, wait, he was right. He was absolutely right.
Ah,
So last week when I talked about taking a pause, being clear with memos, and like actually really writing and thinking and rewriting and thinking, that's the thing that was like most impactful for me this year that I would never have learned otherwise. And
interesting.
I actually, this year has been a gift in a lot of different ways. Something I haven't talked about on this podcast, and actually I haven't really talked about publicly, is I went through a major health issue earlier
Oh,
this year. You both know this.
yeah.
Austin's acting all surprised, like,
No, I'm
oh,
like, oh, you're talking about
I
it.
even
That's how
thought
I was
about it.
surprised you were going to say it.
I was in the hospital, and CEO, this is something that I want to share with everyone listening to this, because I know it's like you list some folks listen to us. We always get really good feedback lately, but there was a time earlier this year in early summer where I was not doing so well, and you both were massive support, like really big support for me. We didn't miss an episode. I was in the hospital for a few days. I got
Mhm.
out of that, and I've regained and restructured how I've thought about things. I've gotten both my physical fitness and my mental fitness in a great spot for the end of the year, and I am ecstatic for 2024. So fuck yeah, bring on 2024.
Let's go. AJ, do you think these type of years are almost necessary? Like if you think back, hindsight will always make us value the experience, the stress test that the year puts on our businesses and us as individuals, and we come out of it better. I remember going through the 2020. It was a small blip, but I remember that moment, and even in that moment, I came out of it better as a professional and as a human. This is a much longer but very similar experience, and I think the three of us are feeling the same things. Do we just need this every X amount of years? You need a downturn and just a tumultuous environment to kind of right size everything a little.
No, you love eating shit. It's great. I mean, Austin, like I ask you that question. Do you think you needed 2023
I
or
don't. I didn't know. It's a good question. I think I'm better because of it. So, and way better. Like I genuinely think I am a better human being. I'm a better professional, and the business is better. And a lot of those improvements have come through the pressure that the market put on us as a business and us as individuals as well. So I do think that every maybe 10 years, the market needs a bit of a shake up. Like I think it's part of if you just have abundance, then you get bloat. And I think because of that, you need periods of abundance, but then you kind of do need a right sizing of it. And I think it helps. It helps. It sucks. Who likes eating shit? But we sometimes need to eat shit. Like when I was young, my mom used to make me eat fish oil. I fucking hated it. But it's really good for you. And I think you just need to go through experiences that in the moment feel horrible, but in hindsight probably make you a lot
You
better.
know, you can take fish oil and pills. You don't actually have to taste it.
Listen, I grew up in Pakistan. This is your bougie shit that you guys had pill form fish oil. I had to take a teaspoon of it.
I think what we have to remember, listen, it sucks going through this year. We have to remember the lessons as long as we can. We will forget them in time, but let's not get out of shape just because abundance comes back or even the pressure eases a little bit in 2024. Let's stay disciplined. Let's keep focusing on our mental and physical health. Let's not have you go back to the hospital. AJ, we care about you. We love you. Like, let's not do stupid shit with our companies. Let's not overspend money that we don't need or have. Let's keep focused on the core value proposition that we deliver our customers. Like, let's just stay good. We've paid so many hard lessons from this year. We've done so many things. We've fired people. All of us have fired people. We've all, there's negative energy about each of us individually, and especially me out there in the universe this year. Let's not have it be for naught. Let's keep being good at what we do. That's what I would say.
I agree with you. Being a force for good, and that our lessons, those disciplines, I think the three of us can hold each other accountable to that. And honestly, for everyone listening out there, something to reflect on and think about. I mean, you're not alone going through these. We're sitting here telling you. We will hear from you. I know we will get reach outs, and someone will say, Asad, man, really sharp comments. Sam, great stories.
So eloquent.
I don't get any of that. What the fuck? Please send me something.
Just all over the place, incoherent. Just kidding. We love you, AJ. We love you. You are a great leader and a great man. And a great father.
Thanks,
a great father.
I was told recently that I should take AJ is very authentic when he speaks. I should look at that and learn from that. So AJ, you get I got this feedback in my house. And so
from your partner?
I showed her these two videos and she's like, yours is good. AJ is so authentic. And so, I think the points that you guys just made are so good but it requires people to operationalize getting the lessons out of the experience. So, sitting down and actually writing what those lessons are and just finding a way to operationalize staying on top of them. Because what will happen is interest rates will go down, capital will become a little bit more freely available. And as soon as capital becomes more freely available and you have board members sitting there saying, let's grow, baby, I think it's really hard to sometimes hold on to the lessons. And we as an ecosystem have to remember that just because investors say something doesn't mean it's the gospel truth. And we as operators have to work through the experience a lot more than anyone else. And so the lessons we've learned, we need to hold on to them. We need to be able to push back when we're hearing things that don't sound sustainable and not the right way to build businesses. And just be the counter force when interest rates will force another party to say grow at all costs without any regard for efficiency and good habits. This actually brings us to another topic, but before we do that, a word from our sponsors.
Are you a CEO or founder looking to get ahead in 2024? Then join me, Sam Jacobs, and over 100 high-growth CEOs and founders for Pavilion's 2024 CEO Summit. We're gathering at the elite Phoenician Resort in Scottsdale, Arizona, to share revolutionary insights and strategies on how to navigate the current economic climate with confidence and certainty. At Pavilion CEO Summit 2024, expect expert-led education sessions, hands-on workshops, and exclusive networking opportunities with fellow CEOs and founders from around the world, including the team from Topline, me, Asad, and AJ. Buy your ticket at joinpavilion.com/CEO Summit and use the code TOPLINE for 20% off. That's joinpavilion.com/CEO Summit and use the code TOPLINE for 20% off. I hope to see you there.
So the end of the year has been a really interesting period in business.
Can I say something
Yeah.
really quick? What I've realized
Say.
over the last 36 episodes is that Asad is the host. And AJ and I are the commentators.
It took you 36 episodes to figure that out, Sam.
To you, sir, you are a friggin' fantastic host. You are handsome. You are chiseled. You have body fat.
Thank you.
Sam is going out with a bang. He is putting everything he has into this episode.
My favorite comment is the low.
I'm here for it.
I will remember that, chiseled and low body fat. I love you, Sam. Those are the two words that are
All the
part of my
You are
heart.
accolades.
a man that can do a surprising number of pull-ups. That's what I shall say about you at your funeral.
Please tell other people. Like, let this be known. This
Sam,
man
I
can do.
got it. Sam, I think in 2024 you need to move to Nashville. Nashville Sam is on a totally different level.
Yeah. Oh, I can see Sam in a big house in Nashville, like a ranch with some horses. Like, it'll be great. We'd come there quite often. So I think the end of the year is a super interesting time in business, especially in our ecosystem, and especially from a new business point of view. There's always this push to get deals over the finish line before the year ends, and it leads to some really funny and funky behavior. Obviously, crazy discounts. Customers are aware they can get discounts, so they're pushing to get the best deal. We're pushing to get deals over the finish line. I personally have never experienced this because of my life's work being such where you can't actually push somebody to hire someone by a particular date. So I always find this very interesting. I live through Sam and AJ when it comes to this. AJ, you're just so good at this. You're on the ground floor at the end of a month, end of a quarter, pushing to get these deals over the finish line. Everybody's in sync. So tell us a little bit about how you think about the end of the quarter and end of the year. What is the right way to do it? And what are some mistakes that you see happen that operators should not let happen?
This is why Asad looks like he's 26 and Sam and I look like we're 60. By the way. Every month, every quarter, we do this push. I had 3 calls today and I sent out 4 emails on behalf of my team on deals to work deals to either CEOs directly or the CRO at the company, CFOs as well. We're doing a team contest right now. We just added team contests to Quota Path. And so we're eating our own dog food or whatever you're allowed to say around that now. I don't know what the actual appropriate term is. We're eating our own dog food.
I think that's an okay term, AJ.
If we hit a number...
my dog said that that's really offensive.
They put in a complaint.
Sam's dog food, though. We're eating Sam's dog food. 3-1.
The president of Dog University said that it sort of depends on the context, but that it implies that dogs
are... so AJ's eating dog food. Sam's dog food. If we hit a number, I have to dye my beard green for the month of January.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit. You have to dye your beard green for the month of January.
Yeah, that's an easy one. I mean, I have a tattoo from a different...
you have a tattoo?
Yeah, because the team, we talked about this, I think, like back in 2016, we had the story goes, we were at the end of our like really big first month, and we were doing $100,000 in new business. And the team was like really rallying up. And then my director of sales, this guy, Justin Papermaster, said, AJ, if we hit 100,000, you get a tattoo. You have to get a tattoo of the Trendkite logo on your chest. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And I didn't they made it a big deal. And I'm like a peer pressure guy. So if like people chant my name, like Sam has been doing all episode long, I get really jazzed up and I'm like, yes, I'll run through that wall, no problem. So we finished on $97,000. The next month, and I was like, phew. The next month, it ratcheted up to $200,000. And my wife found out about it, and she was pissed.
Of course.
Super pissed. Because I'm like, do I look like a tattoo dude?
Especially a tattoo on a chest is like, there's no hiding.
Yeah, not a joke. So anyway, she was like, AJ, I've always thought of you as a leader, but this is really follower mentality shit. Like you're not. Like, also, my wife doesn't swear, so like take the word shit out of it. She just like it makes me feel really bad without swearing or cursing. It's great. So we fished 194,000. Oh, about 6 months later, we were going for $1 million month.
Ooh.
And like I knew we were going to hit $1 million, and I just like announced to the entire company that the tattoo was back on the table, and they all went crazy and wild. And like I have a picture. I'll send you the GIF. It's me hitting the gong at $1 million, and I just like knock it out of the park. And I'll find it for you all and send it to you guys. I'll probably post it on LinkedIn. And the next day, I came in with I have a tattoo of a plane right on just with an infinity symbol and life events behind it.
That's
So,
wild. That's absolutely crazy. That's an amazing story. Do you think it's really important for CEOs to be essentially on the ground floor during a period like
depends on the
this?
company. I think I was talking to Ryan Milligan, my VP of Ops today, and we're talking about design and growth in 2024 and the team and like what that would look like and when we would hire. And I just stopped at the end of it and I go, Milligan, I'm really good at this shit. And he laughed. I was like, sorry. Look, on engineering, on product, on all these other things, like I don't have the confidence that I have with sales. I just have this intuition of feeling something. When we need to hire, how many we need to hire, what does that quota look like? How do we incentivize them? And I mean, even though we've gone through the same challenges that Sam's gone, our team went from 70 to 50, actually below 50 this year. So similar situation. Yeah. Our sales team got much smaller, but we're above 80% attainment for the year. And that's something that I like really care a lot about, is making sure that go-to-market team feels like they're winning and that they're achieving, because that feels like that's the thing that can kind of carry you forward. Yes, you could have GRR challenge, gross revenue retention challenges. You can have product delivery. You can have all these challenges, and those are real problems. You need to go fix those problems, but the sales team needs to feel like they're winning. They truly do. I've always believed that. I believe that in my heart of hearts. And if that means their CEO has to get a tattoo, then you do it. But in this case, I'll settle for dyeing my beard green.
Yeah, I had green hair when I was young. It's good. It's good. You'll enjoy it.
Get out of here. You have a picture of that?
I had green and pink. Was a wild
don't make me like use AI to figure this.
I had like a bunch of piercings and green and green and pink.
Piercings and green hair. Asad is coming up on AI right away.
Sam, AJ spoke about his intuition. He gets it. He kind of knows when it comes to this one topic what the right next step is. What is that intuition? Is that wisdom that's developed through him thinking and focusing on this one particular thing and getting lots of repetitions in? So the next time a decision has to be made in that particular area, he has the processing power or speed of that decision is like warp speed, and it feels like intuition. What is it? Like you probably say, you seem like a leader who also trusts intuition a lot. What is this?
What is this? Well, I think it's when it's the square puzzle piece meeting the square hole. You know, I think it's what do I think? I think it's a combination of a couple of things. One of them is sales and human interaction is one part of business. You know, we've introduced, the world has introduced technology as a second part of business. And there's a different personality profile that's required to build effective software that's different than persuading and engaging effectively with humans to drive them or guide them to specific decisions. And I think that those are different personality profiles of success. And I think that when you have an engineering team, it's a different kind of person. It's the reason that there's always tension between the commercial organization and the product or the technology organization, because it literally is a different profile for success. But for those of us that are commercially minded, of which I would include the three of us, I do think that the intuition comes from reps. It comes from an intuitive, meaning a predisposed understanding of human psychology and human behavior, combined with a forum or format that lends itself to play to our strengths. And even as AJ was talking, I was nodding along, as you can watch in the video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch all of us in real time. And you can see me do silly things with my tongue and with my fingers in video format. But my point is I'm nodding along because I believe that AJ is really good. And remember that even the thing that bothered AJ at the beginning of Trendkite was that they called him the head of sales, even though he was a co-founder and ultimately the
VP
CEO.
of sales. They called me the VP of sales.
VP of sales,
Yeah.
fair enough. But the point is that he comes from a sales background. And I believe very strongly that one of the strengths of QuotaPath or any organization that AJ leads is going to be the commercial side of the organization, particularly the new business side. And I also think that for those of us that are in those roles that like it, it's fun. It's just fun.
It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun because it's surprising. You know what's surprising when you enter this world of commercial acumen? What's surprising, it doesn't make any sense that all the deals close at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter. That doesn't make any logical sense.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
People were rational, you would assume that everybody makes decisions independently, that they have different business needs that are on a different calendar. And really, and because everybody's smart, and you assume they're smart and non-emotional and practical, in economics, we learned that everybody makes rational decisions. If you're coming from an Econ 101, like a microeconomic background, you would assume that people just close whenever they close. And engineers often assume that happens. And engineers and technical founders often, I remember Pini Yakuel, who was the founder of Optimove, and he said for the longest time he was so surprised when other founders asked him, how is your end of quarter, end of month? He's like, that doesn't make any sense to me as a question. Like it's the end of quarter is the same as the beginning of quarter. But what's surprising to those of us with commercial leadership experience is that humans are persuadable. And I don't mean this in a cynical way, but they are. You can manipulate them. You can re-engineer human psychology to your own benefits and own ends, and hopefully you're building something that's useful and valuable, so that when you're doing that, it's not illicit. You're not trying to convince them to give you your social security number. But I do think that's so. When you ask, like, what is it? What is that intuition? That intuition is the joy of somebody playing a game that they like and that they're good at. It's the same kind of skill or delight that comes from Michael Jordan playing basketball, or from Magnus Carlsen playing chess. And if you watch TikTok videos, you can see that Magnus likes playing chess.
AJ,
it's
do you
not just
remember
that he's
your
good at chess;
first ever?
he likes playing it. So that's my answer to you, Asad.
This episode is going to get nominated for like an all-time great for literally just Sam. I think it's on point. It's great.
On point. I'm on the tip. Asad,
I also like Sam,
think?
as you were talking.
Go ahead.
Tell me, what's the question? No, ask your question.
No, you're gonna go to me, and then you did you.
Listen, everyone. We're 36 episodes. And we have a few kinks that we're still trying to work out. We're trying to figure this out. So
at least we like each other.
I feel like as you guys were talking, one of the thoughts that was coming to mind is that if I had to choose a set of skills to go into a downturn with, commercial acumen would be right up there, because it allows you still feel like you can work through this. If the bathtub is going to be losing water, I can still find ways to fill it with new water. I can think of ways to plug whatever is leading to the leakage. I feel like this is where technical founders might learn a lesson and say, oh shit, like if I can get a little bit better at the commercial side, I will feel less anxious when downturns happen. Because I think from my friends who are purely technical founders, they feel a lot more stuck in this downturn than I think CEOs and founders that have those commercial shops. So that's been an interesting.
Why is that? Like, tell me more about that. What are they feeling?
They feel like the lead time to be able to have impact is just longer, right? Like I'm going to impact the business through product, so I need to figure out what to do, build it, test it, deploy it, get people to enjoy it. There's just more lead time, right? Whereas we can be like, okay, fucking shit show, let's go. Here's the things we're doing starting tomorrow. And you'll see it at the top of the funnel almost immediately. You'll start seeing things when they're working. And so it just helps you feel less anxious when you feel like, I know what to do, and I try it and it starts working. Or if it doesn't work, I've learned something, I know what adjustment to make, but the lead time to impact is just faster. Yeah.
Makes perfect sense to me.
One of the things that we've been chatting about as we come towards the end of the year has been Glassdoor. And
This is why Sam has been waiting. He just licked his chops. I literally just saw him lick his lips on this.
He's like, let's
This
go.
is the whole reason Sam is just
Because
waiting for
I think
this.
this is what's really important. It's important to be able to figure out as leaders what is noise, what is signal. And again, we've come out of an environment where we were taught all these things as signals that might actually be more noise than signal. And we just have to sometimes talk it through to figure out, is this in the noise bucket and is this in the signal bucket? So Sam, do you want to tell us a little bit about your thoughts on things like Glassdoor and Amazon reviews and whatnot?
Here's what I think about. I think it is signal, but not in the way that people think. I think that people think that Glassdoor or reviews, and the context, the reason that Asad mentioned Amazon reviews is that we parted ways with some people, as I mentioned, about a month and a half ago when we decided we were not going to be a software company. And one of the software engineers, and you all can look it up, so I won't say their name, but not only did they leave us a nasty Glassdoor review, of course, anonymously, after signing a mutual non-disparagement clause, and I'm only describing what happened, so I'm not disparaging this person. I'm just saying that they used their name and they wrote a real nasty, but objectively hilarious, but still nasty review of my book on Amazon, where they used their name and they disparaged me. And I think that says more about them than me. But I encourage all of our listeners to go to Amazon, and they also sort of rallied their Brooklyn hipster friends to pile on. And so there was another nasty review that was clearly a friend of the other nasty review, and it was pretty lame, to be honest with you, and also a violation of the agreement that they signed. But here's the point. Here's what it means, because I think people misunderstand. What I think negative Glassdoor reviews. See, here's the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis is that negative Glassdoor reviews mean that you are bad, and it's a moral judgment. You are bad or good. That's not what they mean. Here's what they mean. There is a disconnect in the values and the perspective of the organization, and that is your fault as a founder and CEO. But what negative Glassdoor reviews reflect is not necessarily poor performance, although I'm sure I've performed poorly all year and at different times in my life. I am only human. But it reflects a disconnect between the stated values of the organization and the actual values that you display. That's what I think Glassdoor reflects. And when you get negative Glassdoor reviews, it's not because you suck. It's because you hired people that actually aren't aligned with your values, even though you may have thought that they were. And that is where the disconnect happens. And that's not necessarily a bad thing or a good thing. You can believe that the sky is blue, and I can believe that the sky is yellow. And if we convince ourselves that we actually agree, and then I hire you and I continually tell you that the sky is blue and you continually tell me that the sky is yellow, then you're going to leave a negative Glassdoor review about me or my company saying, this person, stay away. This person's no good. And I think what it is a call to arms to CEOs and founders to say, let's get really clear on our hiring profile, and let's make sure that the people that we hire are actually, they believe that we all believe the same things. It doesn't mean we have the same backgrounds, and it doesn't mean we're not diverse, because people can believe, the three of us believe a lot of the same things, and we come from very different backgrounds. But it means that there's a disconnect between what you say you believe and the people that you bring into your organization, and whether they actually believe the same things. And that's what I think is interesting. And in that sense, it is signal, but it's a different kind of signal. It doesn't mean you're bad. It means tighten the profile of the people that you hire to make sure they're aligned with what you truly do, and make sure that your actions line up with your stated beliefs.
That's really interesting. I've had such a strange experience with these sites, because I find reviews to be really helpful. Google reviews is something we optimize for. We have the highest rating in our entire industry because we care about that. A person puts their name behind it. And I think that is something I really care about. I find Yelp is where I started getting frustrated with these type of businesses, and Glassdoor is very similar, where it's anonymous. And I think on social media, a person should be able to be anonymous and share a point of view. But on Yelp and on Glassdoor, they do it and it relates to a business, and it can be quite damaging. There's numerous stories of people writing bad reviews for restaurants, And the restaurant this was during the pandemic, and they would come back and say, we shut down 2 months ago. What are you talking about? Like, you couldn't have eaten here last week. And you just realize that there are people out there that do this type of stuff that can really damage small businesses, especially. And I find that these organizations like Yelp and Glassdoor want us, the employers or the restaurant owner, or whichever business, to pay them for various different services. But they give a channel to people that are not willing to put a name behind their point of view out there. For our business, I've mentioned before that the majority of candidates that reach out to us, let's say 10,000 people reach out to us in any given month, we can't individually talk to all of them, right? Like a 40-50-person company can't spend time with 10,000 people. It's impossible. And our business is an employer, Quarter Path Pavilion will come to us and say, we need to hire somebody truly exceptional, and we need your help to do that. They don't even want to pay us for the person they can hire themselves. They want us to pay us for the absolute best person that they can find in the market. So we can't talk to every single person. So there was a time where a lot of people would go and write shitty reviews on Glassdoor for us, and Glassdoor would just put their hands up and say, we're not going to take it off. And it's like, but they're not even employees. Like, what do you mean? This is so weird. Eventually, I reached out to one of the executives. I was like, I'll just start writing about how shitty this is. And they took down all the reviews at that point. This was before I was CEO. Then once I became CEO, I was like, I just don't give a fuck about Glassdoor anymore. But I like what you said about it, Sam. How do you feel about this shit, AJ?
Well, first off, Sam's right. I went and read the review. It is objectively funny. So
is it?
It's checking out. But I also will tell you too that don't worry, our top line rating is still 4.9. So this person did not find our top line rating.
Oh my god!
They're coming. They're mean and they're angry.
They're coming. They're coming.
I think data is data.
Kind of gypsy hipster nose ring meanies.
Here's where I have a different perspective, and I'm going to align with you, Asad, is that my wife owns a small business, and she owns a childcare center, and it is the top rated childcare center in our area on the main line in Philadelphia. And she's rave reviews, like it is legitimately really, really nice. And when she first opened prior to the pandemic, and she was just like really trying to get her feet under her, there were a couple times where people toured her place and then she denied them. She declined them for whatever reason. There's like special circumstances around this, and they would write a bad review on that based on that. They never used their service. They would just write a bad review on it because they were upset and they were emotionally frustrated. And at first it really hit my wife pretty hard because it's a small business. Like that's unfair. It's like you talked about with the restaurants during the pandemic. So I think we all just need a level of empathy when we're doing this. Sam's a big boy. He's a tough guy. He can take it, no problem. But there are real people that work with him alongside him. And it's a frustrating thing because it feels like it hits the credibility of the organization and the people. And it's just not, it's not fair. There's better outlets and better ways to get feedback into the hands of the people that need to get it. So look, I've also,
here's where
there are people, if you guys can believe this, there are people that don't absolutely love my red beard and they let me know. And so I hear about it.
Oh my god.
I don't know. It's weird. It's strange.
That's harsh. I love your red beard. One place I do think anonymous feedback is important is there should always be an anonymous feedback portal within a business for the employees of the business, because there are certain situations in which a person just doesn't find the psychological safety to share something that happened with the person that they report into.
Sure.
Or just one of the other execs. There, I really believe in having it, but these external ones, I find them to be more harmful than helpful. And on that very uplifting note, it's time for shout outs.
I'm going to do, I'll do two shout outs.
Go.
I'm going to go.
Sam's got this. Sam's got this. Go ahead.
Let's go.
First of all, I'm going to shout out the city of Nashville. I'm going to shout out the 11 Nashville members that came to our offsite. I'm going to shout out Andrew Seam, our VP of People, that put together this amazing offsite. I'm going to shout out the incredible Pavillionaires that came together over the last couple of days. And I also want to shout out Cullen Denny. Cullen is the woman that puts together the blog post summarizing the podcast. She reviews every podcast.
She's actually a big fan. She thinks that we're funny. She said that we're funny. Cullen, we love you. Cullen was our 4th employee ever. Cullen has worked
What?
Cullen has worked for Pavilion since early 2020. And we interviewed her before the pandemic in February of 2020. And she
Wow.
was one of our first 2 enrollment managers. And she's been an enrollment manager, an account executive. She's been in product marketing, and now she's in content marketing. And Colin, great job.
Something I love about Pavilion is you guys are so good at hiring people that connect to the mission, but then you just see them like go left and right and try all these other things and they execute against them so well. Your chief of staff, similar, right? Like she's done 5-6 different things, all so exceptionally well.
Carly is amazing. Carly is a future CEO. She could probably be CEO of Pavilion. And Juseem started off as our head of operations. She's now our VP of people. Yeah. So to the Glassdoor
Very cool.
leaders, I'm sorry. But there's people that work you piece of shit.
Let's go. Agent, what's yours?
I'm gonna give a shout out to my brother. My brother, every Sunday, as soon as Top Line comes out, he sends me like he sent me a list of 5 different bullet points, and they're all. I mean, he's gotten some shit on this, mostly from Sam.
All in good fun.
All in good fun. But he had 2 things. One, he got me the refrigerator that I shouted out in in my office that I still love every day. It's hanging out in my office. But he asked a really interesting question, and it's a question I wanted to answer for him. He said, "You touched on it while I was thinking about it. How do the companies that OpenView was invested unwind the investment? Has to be other investors, either steps up or loans get called." It's interesting because we know how venture capital works, and there are people out there that don't. So 2 things on this. First off, we talked about OpenView and we talked about the challenges. I have heard some feedback from people that are in the know that actually the people that handled the situation handled it really well. The press, there was an article that wasn't too kind, but it was actually handled very well. The people that left OpenView were treated very, very fairly. And I just wanted to like call out that PR, we talk about like Glassdoor and other types of review sites. PR is a type of this. And once the message is out there, it can be a challenge. Now, to my brother's question around how does OpenView and other investors, how does this work? Well, the partners actually stay on. They get management fees, and it's not a loan. And typically they'll stay on, and the partners might actually try and go find an operating partner, or just a partner that becomes an independent that like joins the board, but then acts on behalf of the fund, because they can actually be more helpful to the company than the partner that was at OpenView would be. So there's senior partners that are still at the fund that are still going to be on it. If you're in the older funds, it's not that big of a deal. If you were a recent investment, no, it could hurt the company. It could be challenging to get new investment, but
what they are also trying to negotiate right now, because they had raised a lot of money for a fund in March,
750.
and they haven't deployed a lot of that money right now. So part of the negotiation they have with their LPs is to return a lot of that capital, but to keep some of it for follow-on investments as well. Into the companies that they're in right now. And you said it correctly, which is that if it's an older, more advanced growth stage company where they don't have a board seat, it's much smaller of a problem. But if it's a company where they've made a recent investment and they have a board seat, that's where the challenges occur. They will also, usually in an instance like this is not about OpenView, but investors at this type of a moment might try to sell their stake to other investors as well and just get out of the whole
There's
thing.
A lot of different options here.
There are options there, but till they can figure out an exit strategy that's viable and made sense, they have to actually stay and deliver what they promised.
We'll have Blake on and we'll be able to drill him. I'm sure he'll be very forthcoming.
Why did you take the sabbatical? Okay, so from my side, this is strange, but mine was actually Cullen and Josh from the Pavilion team. I wanted to thank them as we ended the year.
I look like an asshole. I'm like shouting at my brother. You guys are both like, there we go.
But I just wanted to, it's been, doing this podcast has been one of the absolute highlights of the year. And I think I've said it numerous times, it's my favorite hour of the week is to jam with you guys doing this. And it's just so much fun to put it together and put it out in the world. And to see people actually enjoy listening to it. And so I feel very grateful as I end the year for this thing that we have together. And because of that, I feel very grateful for Josh and Colin and the rest of the Pavilion team who help us put this together, produce it, fine tune it, keep advancing it, putting time and thought into it. It really helps a lot. And so shout out to the two of them, but also to you guys and the listeners and this entire experience.
What a great note to end
What a
on.
great message to end the entire year on, Asad.
What we're going to
There
do,
we go.
You are the
Hotline.
host. You are the
We're
host.
the last show of the year will be our this Thursday's Top Line Hotline. But I just want to echo what Asad just said. AJ, Asad, y'all are great. And this has been a huge highlight of the year. This and GTM 2023, the two top things that happened professionally this year. So love you guys. I love our listeners. Keep writing in. We love hearing from you. We love the messages that you send us. You all are awesome. And you'll hear from us one more time this year for Top Line Hotline this week. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Top Line. To learn more about the trends, news, and developments impacting the world of B2B SaaS, head to joinpavilion.com, where more than 10,000 of the world's top go-to market leaders go to achieve and unlock their full professional potential.